Hey, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. The Irish Hammer here. Going to kick off our series of NFL win totals. Going to start in the AFC East, where we have a clear favorite. They're looking for their sixth consecutive AFC East title. And of course, I'm talking about the Buffalo Bills, led by their all world, all MVP, all everything, Josh Allen. Everything goes through the quarterback in this offense. I mean, it does in most offenses, but let's be honest. Josh Allen's a kind of a special dude. So they're looking to hopefully keep building on what they've been able to do over the last couple seasons, and eventually, hopefully, that translates into an AFC championship. They keep running into a bit of a roadblock from those guys down there in Missouri. So all in all, they've had a pretty good off season. They've been able to retain some of their key players. They did go out and add a couple pretty good veterans. One being a former Tennessee Volunteer and Josh Palmer, fantastic wide receiver, came over from the Chargers, of course, and he brings a big body. He's tall, can go up and get the ball, catch contested passes. Which once Josh kind of takes off scrambling and making some of those crazy plays he makes, that will definitely be a benefit for him. And also, on the defensive side of the ball, they're bringing in Joey Bosa, also from the Chargers. So maybe the Bills are kind of using the Chargers as their farm club, kind of the way Tennessee baseball uses Ole Miss as their Double-A club. Anyway, and Bosa, of course, brings a load of baggage from an injury standpoint with him. No question the guy's talented, but he's had trouble staying on the field. Um, so I think they're talented enough overall on the defensive line that he's not going to have to play every snap. He's not going to be out there 50, 60 snaps a game. I feel like they could really use him as almost that edge specialist to take some of the wear and tear off. And if they can get, at least a dozen or so solid games from him, we know he's going to get hurt at some point. But hopefully not severe, and hopefully, pretty small investment in the contract versus the cap. So pretty small risk here, but I think it can pay off a big reward. They also added Maxwell Harrison, the cornerback, from Kentucky in the first round. So they really look to kind of bolster that defense and shore up some positions that I won't say were bad, but were somewhat of a question mark. Look, the Bills have the shortest odd of any team in the NFL to win their division, and this will be 6 in a row. Their odds to win the division is minus 230. Last year they went 13-4. This year their win total is at 11.5, and they have a pretty favorable schedule when you consider returning division champion. Made the playoffs, won 13 games. They do run into Baltimore, Kansas City, and Philadelphia. However, they have the luxury of playing in the AFC East. Plus, they get the AFC and NFC South outside of the Bucs, who you could argue, really came on the end of last year and are poised to probably win that division again. We'll get to them later. And then, of course, the Texans in the AFC South. Outside of that, none of those teams made the playoffs. So you're giving me 11.5 over under for Buffalo. Yeah, I'm going to take that. Full confidence, Josh Allen, that coaching staff, this offense, enough moves on defense. 12 wins, put it in the books. Give me the over. All right, next we're going to move over to Miami. They were second in this division last year with 8 wins. And we all know the potency that this offense has potentially. The key to all of it is the health of Tua. And he's going to have to be healthy, and he's going to have to play the majority, if not all, of their games. Because, quite frankly, the Dolphins did absolutely nothing in the offseason to make me think that they're going to do anything this year. They are kind of in a we're going to dance with who brung us situation. Like they're going to have to win with what they got, and hopefully they have all their pieces that they're expecting because we already know Tyreek Hill is showing some malcontent behaviors. Jalen Ramsey, I don't expect him to suit up for Miami this year. And the defense was pretty good last year. They actually came in ranked number 4 in total defense in the NFL. So they did lose Bradley Chubb to a pretty nasty injury. We all remember that. But he's on track to get back on the field. If his rehab goes well, if he's able to participate in camp, get enough reps in preseason, we should see Bradley Chubb back on the field. Maybe week 1. It'll certainly be early. But they're really going to need him because the secondary is an absolute mess. We've already talked about Ramsey. Then they've got a couple guys starting in the secondary that never started in their NFL career. They were career backups. So secondary definitely a concern. I think the big thing, though, is going to be, again, Tua's health. This team played 6 games without Tua under center. They went 2-4. They averaged 13 points a game. 13 points a game. There's no defense in the NFL that's going to be able to win you ball games when your offense scores 13 points. And even scarier is now Zach Wilson is your backup. Skylar Thompson's gone. And if you want the doomsday scenario, Miami fan, Quinn Ewers is the guy sitting behind Zach Wilson. No offense to Ewers. He has no experience in the NFL. Some might say neither does Zach Wilson. At least from a draft perspective, the Dolphins did focus on the line of scrimmage. They got Kenneth Grant, the defensive tackle, and a guard, Jonah. I can't pronounce his last name. Jonah, I'm sorry. You'll never watch this anyway. But they did get some guys in the trenches, and, again, of course, Ewers. But, man, outside of that, this team's in trouble. When both of your best defensive players in the front 7 are coming back off serious injury, it's scary at best. And you really have to wonder, is this team going to be able to stop enough of the high-powered offenses with that patchwork secondary? So I feel like the Dolphins are just in for a tough road this season. Their win total is sitting at 8.5, and I'm kind of on the fence with it because they were just shy of that last year with Tua missing 6 games. But here's one thing I know about Miami. You can't bet Tua to play every game. He's been in the league 5 years. He's played 1 full season. 1. So it's really not a question of am I betting that the Dolphins win 8 or 9 games? It's am I betting that Tua is going to play enough games to put them in a position to win? I can't lay that kind of any juice on Tua playing. I'm taking the under 8.5 wins for the Dolphins. All right, next we move on to New York and Jets, Jets. So the Jets have obviously gone through a lot of changes in the offseason. Their biggest headache's gone. Of course, I'm referring to Aaron Rodgers. Shipped him off to Pittsburgh. And I guess Pittsburgh sort of paid it forward in a trade of quarterbacks, if you will. They bring in Justin Fields. So as far as I'm concerned, that's an upgrade. And I know Fields is pretty polarizing. There's the people that love him and think he can develop and be that guy. There's other people that think he's just garbage and just stop feel for whoever they're bringing in next. And that very well could be true. But I think Fields at least gives this offense a chance because there's some pretty good dudes on this offense. I mean, obviously Breece Hall, stud running back, and you've got Garrett Wilson, all-world wide receiver who I feel like can really make some plays if he's got somebody that can get him the football. And it's not to say Aaron was a total, joke last year. He did have flashes a few games that he played well. But all in all, the Aaron Rodgers experiment in New York over the 2 seasons was bad at best. One thing about this team that does concern me is having both a new head coach and a new quarterback in a new system to Fields, of course. So gelling and picking up, the vocabulary and the offense is going to be critical in the OTAs, the mini camps, the preseason. Fields has really got to develop and gel with his not only his offensive line, but also, of course, his pass catchers. They did pick up Josh Reynolds as well, and they already have Alan Lazard, but neither one of those guys really do anything for me. The guy I'm kind of most excited about seeing there is Mason Taylor, the tight end out of LSU, who they got in the second round. They also picked up Arian Smith, wide receiver, in the fourth round. So they did get some additional weapons for Fields. Again, running back room is pretty solid, although I'm not completely sold on Braylon Allen yet. I think he's a good complement to Hall, but should anything happen to Hall that he misses significant time, I don't feel like Braylon Allen's a workhorse back that can carry that team. So Fields is going to have a lot of pressure on him, both in the pass and the run game, where hopefully he stays healthy and gives his team a chance. Defensively, of course, they are fantastic. They were the number 3 defense in the NFL last year, so fully expect with Aaron Glenn at the helm, that's going to continue, to be the case. They're going to be a top five defense. I feel like the running game's good enough with Hall and Fields / Allen. So really, it's just going to come down to can Fields make enough plays in the passing game and keep the Jets from becoming one-dimensional. I'm going to take a stab, Jets. Your win total is 5.5. You somehow managed 5 wins last year. I'm going to take a stab. I'm going over 5.5 wins for the New York Jets. All right, and finally we come to the team that may have had the biggest makeover in the offseason, the New England Patriots. They bring in a familiar face in Mike Vrabel, knows a little bit about the organization. Vrabel said, well, I'm not done. I'm going to bring my buddy Josh McDaniels in with me to run the offense. Again, got a little history there as well. So New England goes 4-13 last year, picked up 4 wins, and they actually got a couple of those early. It looked like, man, this team, may have some juice. Turned out to not be the case. One thing they did do, though, is they got Drake May involved in the offense fairly early, and he definitely showed some promise. He breathed some life into what started out as a fairly lethargic offense. The defense played well, but by the end of the season, this team was 31st in total offense and 22nd in total defense. Now, one thing for sure, that defensive rank is going to change with Mike Vrabel. And you have to believe that Josh McDaniels can elevate that offense out of the basement. They may not be top 10, but they ain't going to be bottom 5. Mark that down. Offense will be better. I think more than anything, with the hiring of Vrabel, he brings stability to the team. Now, huge Gerard Mayo fan, played at Tennessee, played linebacker his entire career in New England, and was a long-time coach in wait on, of course, Bill Belichick. However, it just didn't pan out the way everybody certainly hoped. And I guess Vrabel's availability more so than Mayo's performance is what prompted the change. But Vrabel will definitely bring in a different culture to this current version of the Patriots team. And I'm not saying he's going to make them look like the Brady teams of, the 2010s, but he'll certainly instill that mentality in the team. The other thing he did is he brought in a ton of veterans. I mean, he brought in a bunch of dudes. They brought in Milton Williams. They brought in Carlton Davis. They brought in Harold Landry. They brought in Morgan Moses. They brought in Stephon Diggs. And if Diggs can focus on football and not, then this offense could probably be pretty decent. Everything I'm seeing and hearing is Diggs is going to be healthy to start the season. Now, of course, training camp's one thing, live bullets is another thing. So we'll know more about Diggs as camp goes along, but early indications, Stephon Diggs is going to be fine. So then you bring in the draft, you bring in Will Campbell, who I think is the best offensive lineman in the draft. You also get Travion Henderson, running back out of Ohio State. You also get Kyle Williams, the wide receiver from Washington State. So they've done a great job in the offseason. They did a terrific job with their draft. They brought in a veteran presence to the locker room, guys that have been there and can help some of these young guys develop. And they brought in protection for their young quarterback. Everybody knows the quarterback's the one that cashes the checks. Well, the offensive line is the insurance. So they've done the things that you absolutely must do to have the building blocks to be a successful team. The big thing that I look at when I see their win total at 7.5 is their schedule. Their schedule's pretty easy, quite frankly. I don't think they're going to win this division, not even in the conversation. This is Buffalo's 6th straight division title in 2025. But New England's sitting at 7.5 wins. They only had 4 last year. 7.5 seems like quite a stretch. I'm hammering this over. So just to recap, I've got Buffalo over 11.5 wins. I've got Miami under 8.5 wins. Got the Jets over 5.5 wins and New England over 7.5 wins. Buffalo, New England, both kind of right there for me as the best bet. But if I've got to pick one, I'm going with the Patriots. I think Mike Vrabel turns this thing around. I think he turns it around quickly. I think May is going to be able to thrive in Josh McDaniels' offense. And I think they brought in enough talent both in free agency and also in the draft that they're going to be a competitive team this year. Don't think playoffs are in the picture because certainly the AFC is pretty loaded, but they're going to position themselves to be there in the future. All right, so that's a quick look at the AFC East. We'd love to hear your thoughts, where you think teams are going to fall, either over or under that win total. Who you think is going to win the division? Who do you think is going to be the biggest mover, the biggest drop, whatever. We'd love to hear your feedback. Be sure to follow me on X, The Irish Hammer. Follow everybody back. I don't care who you pull for. That's not important. Also on YouTube, if you like the content and you want to see more, we'd love for you to subscribe. Hit that like button. Really means a lot. I really appreciate it. Until next time.